Liam had been dreaming about this day for a long time. After years of saving and searching, he finally bought a small piece of land at the edge of the town. It was quiet, peaceful, and perfect for starting fresh. He had imagined waking up to the sun rising over open fields, planting a garden and building a simple cabin where he could live without the noise and rush of city life. Today that dream was finally coming true. He drove slowly along the narrow dirt road that led to his property, feeling a mixture of excitement and nervousness. The land stretched across a gentle slope, dotted with wildflowers and patches of grass. A small creek ran along one side, reflecting the bright morning sunlight. Liam parked his old pickup near the edge of the property, jumped out and stretched. The air smelled fresh and earthy, and for the first time in years he felt at home. As he stepped toward the land to inspect it, he noticed a woman walking quickly down the street. Her posture was rigid and her face looked angry. Before Liam could greet her, she raised her hand and shouted, "You cannot live here." Liam blinked, surprised by her sudden outburst. "Excuse me?" he said, trying to keep his voice calm. "I am Karen," she said firmly, pointing toward a row of houses across the street. "This is my community and no one can move in without permission. You have to leave." Liam took a deep breath, trying not to show frustration. "I think there is a misunderstanding. My land is not part of your neighborhood. I purchased it legally, and it is outside your community boundaries. I have all the papers to prove it." Karen's eyes narrowed and she shook her head quickly. "No, it is close enough. I do not care about your papers. You cannot live here. It is my responsibility to keep this street perfect, and I will not let anyone spoil it." Liam studied her carefully. She seemed determined, almost like she had made it her mission to stop him. He had expected some curiosity from neighbors, but this was more than curiosity. It was hostility. "I am not here to cause trouble," he said calmly. "I just want to settle in quietly and enjoy my land. I have every right to be here." Karen stepped closer, lowering her voice but still firm. "You think you have rights, but rules matter. I will not allow someone like you near my community. You will regret staying here if you ignore this warning." Liam shook his head slowly. "I do not want to fight. I just want to live on my own land. If you want, I can show you the map that proves this property is outside your HOA boundaries." Karen crossed her arms and glared at him. "Maps do not change reality. I see you here, and that is enough. You do not belong." At that moment, Liam realized that reasoning with her might take longer than he expected. He did not want to provoke her, but he could not give up either. He decided to step back and remain polite, hoping that time and facts would help. "I understand your concern," he said, "but I assure you this is my land. I will not interfere with your neighborhood, and I will respect your property. Can we agree to stay calm?" Karen laughed, but it was a sharp, unpleasant sound. "Stay calm? Do you think I am calm when someone moves in illegally near my street? You are asking too much. You will leave, or I will make sure you face consequences." Liam watched her march back toward her house, her heels clicking against the pavement. He sighed, feeling a mix of irritation and disbelief. He had hoped his arrival would be peaceful, but it seemed he had already found an obstacle. He knew he had to stay calm and patient. This was his land and he had legal rights. No one could take that away. He turned back to his property, trying to focus on the positive. The land was beautiful, full of potential. He began unpacking tools from his truck, setting up a small tent and planning where his cabin and garden would go. He wanted to start building immediately, to show that he belonged and that his presence was harmless. As he worked, he noticed a few neighbors watching from a distance. They were older couples and families who lived in the nearby houses. Some seemed curious, while others looked concerned. Liam waved politely to them, hoping to show that he was friendly and meant no trouble. A few nodded back, but most remained cautious. Later that afternoon, Liam decided to take a walk along the edge of his property. He wanted to explore and make sure he understood all the boundaries. As he walked, he noticed a small wooden sign near the fence. It had been placed by someone claiming the land was part of the HOA. Liam frowned. It was clear that someone was trying to intimidate him. He made a mental note to remove the sign legally and peacefully, but it annoyed him that Karen or someone like her had already taken action. Just as he returned to his truck, he heard a voice behind him. "I told you to leave." Liam turned to see Karen standing there again, her expression more serious than before. "I thought you might sneak around," she added, "but I will not allow it. You are breaking rules by being here. Liam held his hands up in a calming gesture. I am not breaking any rules. My land is outside your HOA. I have legal ownership. I am not trespassing, and I will respect your neighborhood. Please try to understand. Karen's face twisted with anger. You do not understand. You cannot live here. You are a problem, and I will make sure the authorities know about it. Liam realized that Karen was not going to listen no matter what he said. He had to find another way to handle her. If you want, I can invite you to see my property documents, he suggested. We can solve this calmly without anyone getting upset. Karen shook her head violently. No, I do not want your papers. I know what is right. You are not welcome. End of discussion. Liam let out a quiet sigh. He understood that reasoning would take time, and he needed support. He decided to call his friend Maya, who was experienced in dealing with tricky neighbors. Maya, I have a problem, he said when she answered. There is a woman named Karen. She thinks I cannot live on my land even though it is outside her neighborhood. She is very upset and refuses to listen. Maya listened carefully. That sounds difficult, but don't worry. You have the right to be there. Just stay calm and polite. Do not give her a reason to escalate and make sure you have all your documents ready. If things get serious, involve the authorities, but only calmly. You do not want to make enemies unnecessarily? Liam nodded, feeling reassured. You're right. I will stay calm and show her that I belong here. I will start working on the property and hope she sees I am not a threat. The sun was starting to set, casting long shadows over the land. Liam looked around, imagining his cabin by the creek and a small garden full of vegetables. He felt a spark of determination. Karen could complain and yell, but she could not take away his dream. This was his land, and he would make it his home. As the night settled in, Liam lit a small lantern and began planning the first steps of building his cabin. He knew there would be challenges ahead, especially with Karen being so insistent, but he felt ready. Tomorrow, he would continue preparing his land, planting seeds and taking another step toward turning his dream into reality. Even with Karen's warnings, Liam felt a sense of hope and freedom. He was not just moving onto land. He was claiming his independence and showing that he could face difficulties without giving up. His heart was full of determination, and his mind focused on the future. Liam knew this was only the beginning, but he was ready for whatever came next. His land was his, and no one could change that fact. The morning sun rose slowly over Liam's property, casting a warm glow across the fields and the small creek that ran along one side of the land. Birds chirped and a soft breeze rustled through the grass. Liam felt a renewed sense of energy as he stepped outside his small tent. Today he planned to start clearing a section of land for his garden and begin laying the foundation for his cabin. He was just reaching for his shovel when he heard the familiar sound of footsteps on the dirt road. He turned and saw Karen walking toward him again. Her face was as serious as yesterday, and her pace was quick, almost aggressive. You are still here, she said sharply. I told you to leave, but you did not listen. This is unacceptable. Liam straightened up and smiled politely. Good morning, Karen. I am here, yes, but I am on my land legally. I am not trespassing or interfering with your community. I just want to settle in peacefully. Karen's eyes narrowed. Peaceful? You are a problem. Your land is too close to my neighborhood. It is dangerous for the community to have someone like you living here. I am going to report this to the Homeowners Association and the authorities if you do not leave. Liam took a deep breath. He had expected this, but he did not want the situation to escalate unnecessarily. Karen, I have all the legal documents to prove my ownership. I am not part of your neighborhood, and I am not violating any rules. If you want, we can review the documents together to avoid any confusion. Karen shook her head angrily. I do not care about your documents. I know what is right and you are wrong. You cannot stay here. End of discussion. Liam realized that reasoning with her was becoming increasingly difficult. He needed a different approach. I understand your concern, he said calmly, but I am willing to follow all rules for safety and community harmony. I will not disturb anyone, and I will maintain my land responsibly. Please consider that we can coexist without conflict. Karen scoffed. Coexist? You are moving in too close, and I will not allow it. I have already spoken to some neighbors about this, and they agree with me. You need to leave immediately. Liam paused. He could see the frustration building in Karen, and he knew she was determined to escalate the situation. He decided to stay calm and not respond angrily. I will not leave because this is my property, but I am willing to show respect to you and your neighbors. I hope we can find a way to solve this peacefully. Karen glared at him, then turned and marched back toward her house. Liam watched her go, shaking his head slightly. He knew that Karen's persistence would not fade easily. He needed to focus on his plans and not let her anger disrupt his progress. After Karen left, Liam returned to his work. He began clearing a small area of land for his garden, removing weeds and rocks. He worked methodically, enjoying the feeling of soil under his hands and the fresh air around him. As he worked, he noticed a few neighbors watching from a distance. Some nodded politely while others whispered among themselves. Liam waved at them, hoping to show that he was friendly and meant no harm. By mid-morning, Liam had cleared a decent patch of land and started laying out the sections for his vegetable garden. Tomatoes, carrots, and lettuce would grow there, and he imagined the satisfaction of eating fresh vegetables that he had nurtured himself. The simple vision gave him motivation to continue despite the tension with Karen. Just as he was arranging the garden plots, he heard footsteps approaching from behind the trees. He turned and saw Karen standing there with a clipboard in her hand. She looked determined, as if she had prepared for this visit carefully. I have spoken to the HOA manager, Karen said sharply. They confirm that you are too close to our community, and I have the authority to make sure you do not settle here. I am giving you one more warning, Liam sighed quietly. He had anticipated that Karen would escalate, but he remained composed. Karen, I appreciate your concern, but I have verified my ownership. My property is outside your HOA boundaries. I have all the legal documents, and I can show you if needed. I am not breaking any rules. Karen tapped her clipboard with her finger. I do not want to see papers. I know what is right. You are disturbing the peace, and I will not allow it. This is serious. If you do not leave, I will call the police. Liam took a step closer, speaking in a calm and steady voice. Karen, I understand that you are worried about your community. I respect your position, but calling the police will not change the fact that this is my land. I hope we can solve this without involving anyone else. Let us be reasonable. Karen's face grew red with anger. Reasonable? You think this is reasonable? You cannot live here. You are causing trouble, and I will not stand for it. If you do not leave, I will make sure the authorities intervene. Liam shook his head and decided it was time to end the conversation for now. I will continue working on my land peacefully. I hope you can accept that. I have no intention of disturbing anyone, and I will stay within my property. Please let us both have a calm day. Karen's eyes narrowed, but she turned and left again. Liam watched her go, feeling both frustration and determination. He could see that Karen's persistence would continue, but he was committed to staying on his land and building his life there. Later that afternoon, Liam received a call from his friend Maya. How is it going? She asked. It is challenging, Liam admitted. Karen is very persistent. She refuses to understand that my land is not part of her HOA. She has threatened to involve the authorities, and she is spreading her opinions to neighbors. I am trying to stay calm, but it is difficult, Maya replied in a calm and supportive voice. You are doing the right thing by staying polite and composed. Make sure you have your documents ready. If she calls the police, remain calm and explain everything clearly. Do not argue. Show them your proof, and they will understand. You are not doing anything wrong. Liam felt reassured by her advice. You are right. I will stay calm and continue working on my land. I just want to live peacefully and show that I am respectful of the neighbors. The next morning, Liam started building a small fence around his garden. He wanted to mark the boundaries clearly and show that he was responsible and organized. As he hammered the wooden posts into the ground, he heard Karen's voice once again. You are still here, she shouted from across the road. This is unacceptable. You are disturbing our community, and I will not allow it. Liam put down his hammer and walked toward her calmly. Karen, I am here on my property legally. I am not disturbing anyone. I am building my garden and taking care of my land. Please understand that I am not your neighbor in the HOA. I hope we can resolve this peacefully. Karen crossed her arms and glared at him. I do not care about your land boundaries. I will make sure this situation is reported. You cannot stay here. Liam nodded slowly. I understand your concern. I hope that in time you can see that I mean no harm. I will continue working quietly on my property. As Liam returned to his garden, he noticed a few neighbors watching more closely. Some looked worried, while others seemed curious. He realized that Karen's behavior was drawing attention, and he needed to remain composed to avoid any misunderstandings. By the end of the day, Liam had completed a small fenced area for his garden and laid out the sections for vegetables. He felt proud of his progress and reassured that he was taking responsible steps on his land. Despite Karen's repeated interruptions and warnings, he knew that staying calm and following the law was the best way to handle the situation. As the sun set, Liam sat on a small log near his property, enjoying the quiet sounds of nature. He knew that Karen would likely continue her efforts to challenge his presence, but he felt confident that he could handle whatever came next. With patience, calmness, and proof of his legal ownership, he was determined to protect his land and build the life he had dreamed of. Liam understood that conflicts could arise, but he believed that truth, respect, and persistence would win in the end. He felt ready to face the challenges, knowing that his property was his home and no one could take that away. The next morning, Liam woke to the sound of birds singing and the soft murmur of the creek that ran along the edge of his property. He stretched, feeling both tired and determined. The past 2 days had been challenging. Karen had confronted him multiple times, her anger growing with each encounter. Liam knew that her persistence would not fade easily. However, he also understood that he could not give up. This was his land, his home, and he had every right to be there. After breakfast, Liam walked around his property, inspecting the small fence he had built for his garden. Everything looked neat and well organized. The garden area was ready for planting, and the land around his cabin site was cleared of rocks and weeds. Liam felt satisfied with his progress, but he also knew that Karen's complaints might escalate further. As he was arranging wooden posts for the future cabin, he noticed a group of neighbors gathered near the edge of the road. Some waved politely, but most were whispering to each other and glancing toward him. It was clear that Karen had already started talking to them about the situation. Liam took a deep breath and waved calmly, hoping to show that he was friendly and posed no threat. A few neighbors waved back, but others remained cautious, their faces showing concern. Liam continued working, trying to focus on his tasks. He planted a few rows of seeds in the garden area, imagining fresh vegetables in the coming months. The physical work helped him stay calm and focused despite the growing tension. Just as he finished planting, he heard a familiar, sharp voice calling his name. "Liam, you need to stop this immediately." He turned to see Karen striding down the road toward him, her face red and eyes wide with frustration. In her hand, she held a stack of papers. Liam realized that she had escalated her efforts once again. "Karen, good morning," Liam said politely. "I see you have papers. Are you ready to review my property documents? That might help clear up any confusion." Karen shook her head. "I do not want to see your documents. I already know that you are not welcome here. You are too close to our community and I will not allow it. The neighbors agree with me and we will not ignore this." Liam stayed calm. "Karen, I understand that you are concerned, but I assure you that my property is outside your HOA boundaries. I have legal ownership and I am following all rules. I am trying to be respectful of your neighborhood. I hope you can consider that we can coexist peacefully." Karen's eyes narrowed and she waved the papers in the air. "I have spoken to the HOA manager. They said that you cannot live here without permission. You are disturbing the community and I will not let it happen." Liam sighed quietly. He had expected this level of persistence but remained composed.
"Karen, I appreciate your concern, but I have verified my property boundaries."
"I'm not trespassing or breaking any laws. If the authorities are involved, I will show them the documents proving my ownership. That will settle the matter peacefully." Karen huffed angrily. "Authorities or not, I will make sure this does not continue. You are causing trouble for everyone. You will regret staying here." Liam noticed that some neighbors were watching more closely now. Some appeared to be siding with Karen, while others seemed curious about the situation. He realized that Karen's behavior was starting to influence the neighborhood, and he needed to handle it carefully. He decided to take a calm approach. "Karen, I want to avoid conflict. I am not your enemy. I am here to live quietly on my land. I respect your community and want to show that I can coexist peacefully. Please, let us try to resolve this calmly." Karen's glare intensified. "Resolve calmly? You think I can stay calm when someone moves in illegally near my neighborhood? I will not stand for it. I will continue to speak to the neighbors and involve the authorities if necessary." Liam nodded slowly. He knew that arguing would not help. "Very well. I will continue my work peacefully, and I will respect your property. I hope that in time you can see that I mean no harm." Karen turned on her heel and walked back to her house, her frustration clear in every step. Liam shook his head slightly and returned to his garden, feeling both determined and aware that the challenge was far from over. Later that afternoon, Liam received another call from his friend Maya. "How are things today?" she asked, her voice calm and supportive. "It is becoming more complicated," Liam admitted. "Karen is influencing the neighbors now. Some seem worried or confused. She refuses to understand that my land is outside her HOA boundaries. She is threatening to involve the authorities if I do not leave." Maya replied thoughtfully, "You are handling this the right way by staying calm. Keep all your property documents ready. If the police or HOA representatives come, show them clearly. Do not argue. Explain calmly that your property is legal and outside their boundaries. That will protect you and prove that you are responsible." Liam nodded, feeling reassured by her advice. "You are right. I will stay calm and continue working on my land. I just want to live peacefully and show that I am respectful of everyone." The next morning, Liam woke early and decided to focus on completing the fence around his cabin area. He wanted to create a clear boundary, not only for himself but also to show the neighbors that he was organized and responsible. As he hammered the posts into the ground, he noticed Karen approaching once again, this time accompanied by a few neighbors. "You see?" Karen shouted, pointing at Liam's fence. "He is still building without permission. This is exactly what I warned you about. He cannot stay here. You should all agree with me." Liam put down his hammer and walked toward the group, keeping his voice calm. "Good morning, everyone. I am working on my own property. This land is legally mine and I am following all rules. I am not trespassing or disturbing anyone. I hope that you can understand that I mean no harm." Some neighbors looked surprised by Liam's calm approach. One older man nodded slightly as if acknowledging that Liam was being reasonable. Others seemed unsure, whispering to each other and looking toward Karen for guidance. Karen's face grew red with anger. "Do not listen to him. You all know he is causing trouble. He is too close to our community, and he has no right to be here. We need to stop him before it is too late." Liam raised his hands gently. "Karen, I respect your concern, but my land is outside your community. I have verified this with documents and maps. I am trying to coexist peacefully, and I hope that you and your neighbors can see that I am responsible." Karen glared at him but made no immediate response. Liam returned to his work, feeling both tired and aware that the tension was growing. He knew that Karen would likely escalate further, and that the situation could reach a point where authorities might be involved. By the afternoon, Liam had completed the fence and marked the boundaries clearly. He looked over his property and felt a sense of accomplishment. Despite Karen's constant confrontations, he was making progress on his dream. As the sun began to set, Liam sat on a small rock near his cabin area, thinking about the events of the past days. He realized that Karen's persistence was only increasing the challenge, but he was determined to handle it calmly. He had documents proving his ownership, and he had been polite and respectful throughout. He believed that truth and patience would win in the end. Liam also considered that the neighbors were watching closely. Their opinions might be influenced by Karen, but he hoped that seeing his responsible behavior would eventually change their minds. He decided to continue working diligently and peacefully, showing that he was trustworthy and serious about living on his land. As darkness fell, Liam lit a small lantern and prepared for the night. He knew that tomorrow could bring more challenges, but he felt ready. Karen might continue to confront him, but he would face her calmly and confidently. His property was his home, and no one could take that away. With determination in his heart, Liam went to sleep that night, ready to face the next day and continue building the life he had dreamed of. The morning air was crisp as Liam stepped outside his cabin area. He had slept well despite the tension with Karen, and he was ready to continue working on his land. The small garden he had planted was beginning to take shape, and the fenced area around his cabin was complete. Everything was progressing nicely, and for the first time he felt a sense of calm pride in his work. He had just finished checking the garden rows when he heard raised voices from the road. Turning, he saw Karen marching toward him, her face red with anger. She was not alone. Two neighbors were walking behind her, carrying a small notebook and pointing toward Liam's land. It was clear that she had gathered support to confront him again. "You are still here," Karen shouted. "I warned you, but you refused to leave. This is unacceptable. I have called the authorities to handle this situation. They will make sure you leave." Liam remained calm, folding his hands in front of him. "Karen, I am on my land legally. I am not trespassing or interfering with your neighborhood. I have all the documents proving ownership. Please understand that I am here peacefully and I mean no harm." Karen waved her hand dismissively. "I do not want to hear it. The authorities will sort this out." "You cannot stay here." Liam took a deep breath and nodded. He had expected this escalation and was ready to handle it responsibly. "Very well. I will cooperate with the authorities. I will show them my documents and explain everything clearly. I hope this will resolve the matter peacefully." By mid-morning, a patrol car slowly approached along the dirt road. Officer Perez, a calm and professional man, stepped out and walked toward Liam and Karen. He greeted them politely.
Good morning.
"I understand there is a concern regarding this property. Can someone explain what is happening?" Karen immediately stepped forward, pointing at Liam. "Officer, this man is illegally living near our neighborhood. He is too close to our community, and he refuses to leave despite repeated warnings. He is causing trouble, and I want you to handle it." Liam held up his hands in a respectful gesture. "Officer, thank you for coming. I am on my property legally. This land is outside Karen's HOA boundaries, and I have purchased it with all legal documents. I am not trespassing, and I am not disturbing the community." Officer Perez looked at Liam carefully. "I see. Do you have proof of ownership?" Liam smiled calmly and handed him the property documents. "Yes, officer. Here is the deed and the survey map showing the exact boundaries. This land is entirely mine and outside the HOA limits." Officer Perez reviewed the papers carefully, taking his time to examine each page. Karen watched closely, frowning and muttering under her breath. The neighbors standing nearby also observed the situation, some looking curious, others slightly embarrassed. After a few minutes, Officer Perez looked up and addressed Karen first. "Ma'am, according to these documents, this property is not part of your HOA. The owner has full legal rights to be here. You do not have authority to force him to leave." Karen's face turned red with anger. "That is impossible. He is too close to our neighborhood. You cannot allow this." Officer Perez shook his head gently. "I understand your concerns, but legally he is entitled to his property. He has presented proof, and there is nothing in the law preventing him from living here. I recommend that everyone respect his property and allow him to continue peacefully." Liam nodded respectfully. "Thank you, officer. I will continue to work responsibly and maintain my land. I hope this resolves any misunderstanding." Karen crossed her arms, clearly frustrated. She muttered under her breath but did not respond further. The neighbors seemed to realize that Karen's claims were unfounded. A few nodded toward Liam, showing quiet support for his position. Officer Perez addressed both parties calmly. "I suggest that you all focus on being respectful neighbors. Mr. Liam has the right to be here, and it is important to maintain peace and civility. Any further disputes should be handled through proper legal channels, not personal confrontations." Karen scowled but remained silent. Liam felt a wave of relief. This was the first time that someone in authority had confirmed what he already knew. He had done nothing wrong, and now the situation was clear to everyone. After the officer left, Liam returned to his work. He repaired a few sections of the garden fence and continued preparing the land for the cabin foundation. The sun was warm, and the gentle sounds of the creek and the wind through the trees made him feel at peace. Later in the afternoon, Maya arrived to check on him. She had brought snacks and a thermos of lemonade. "How did it go today?" she asked with a smile. Liam shook his head but smiled. "It was stressful, but the officer confirmed that I am legally on my land." Karen tried to argue, but it was clear that the law is on my side. "I feel much better now." Maya nodded approvingly. "I am glad. You stayed calm and polite, and it made all the difference. Some people respond well to facts and respect, and that is what you showed today." Liam poured lemonade into 2 cups and handed one to Maya. "Thank you for supporting me. I could not have handled this without your advice. Karen may still be upset, but I think the neighbors understand the truth now." Maya smiled. "They do. People notice calm, respectful behavior, especially when contrasted with anger and hostility. You are showing that you can be a responsible and trustworthy neighbor." By evening, Liam had completed his work for the day. He sat on a small rock near his garden, watching the sun dip below the horizon. The events of the day weighed on him, but he felt a sense of accomplishment. He had faced Karen's threats calmly, worked responsibly on his land, and involved the authorities in a calm and legal way. That night, as Liam prepared dinner over a small camping stove, he reflected on the situation. Karen had been persistent and angry, but her claims had no legal basis. He realized that standing firm, remaining polite, and relying on facts had been the right approach. He also understood the importance of patience. Karen's behavior might continue, but he was ready to respond respectfully and calmly. As darkness settled over the land, Liam looked up at the stars. The quiet night air was peaceful, and for the first time since he had arrived, he felt truly confident that he could settle on his property without fear. Karen's anger might still be present, but it no longer intimidated him. He knew that truth and respect would prevail. Before going to sleep, Liam reviewed his plans for the next day. He wanted to start building the cabin foundation, continue planting more garden rows, and take steps to improve the land responsibly. He also decided to reach out to some of the neighbors who had observed the events, to ensure they understood his intentions and to build positive relationships. Liam went to sleep that night feeling a sense of security. The legal confirmation from Officer Perez had reinforced his confidence. He knew that challenges might still arise, but he felt prepared to face them. His property was his, and he would continue working to make it a peaceful and beautiful home. The night was quiet, with only the sound of the creek and distant owls. Liam felt a sense of freedom and determination. He had faced confrontation with patience, handled threats with calmness, and upheld the law with dignity. He knew that the journey ahead would require continued focus, but he was ready. This land was his home, and no one could take it away. The morning sun rose gently over Liam's property, painting the fields in warm shades of gold. After the previous day's confrontation with Karen and the visit from Officer Perez, Liam felt a renewed sense of confidence. His land was officially recognized as his own, and the legal confirmation gave him peace of mind. Today he planned to focus entirely on building the foundation for his small cabin and expanding his garden. As he stepped outside, he noticed a few neighbors walking along the road toward his property. At first, he felt a slight twinge of concern. However, when he saw their faces, he realized that they looked calm and even a little curious rather than angry. One neighbor, an older woman named Mrs. Collins, waved politely. Liam smiled and waved back, hoping to build positive relationships with the community. "Good morning, Liam," Mrs. Collins said. "I wanted to see your land. It looks very nice, and it seems you're taking good care of it." Liam nodded politely. "Good morning, Mrs. Collins. Thank you for stopping by. I am working on the garden and preparing the cabin foundation. I want to maintain my land responsibly and respectfully for everyone around." Mrs. Collins smiled. "That is good to hear. Some neighbors have been concerned, but it seems you are handling everything very well. We appreciate your polite approach." Liam felt relief and gratitude. The tension with Karen had caused concern among the neighbors, but seeing them acknowledge his responsibility gave him hope that peace was possible. As he returned to his work, Karen suddenly appeared at the edge of the road. Liam felt a familiar tension rise, but he reminded himself to remain calm and respectful. Karen's face was serious, but there was a noticeable change in her expression. She did not shout or wave her hands like before. "Liam," Karen said, her voice calmer than usual, "I have been thinking about everything that happened. I spoke with some people in the HOA and reviewed the documents. It seems that you are correct. This land is legally yours, and you have every right to be here." Liam nodded slowly, keeping his tone polite. "Thank you for acknowledging that, Karen. I understand that it was confusing at first, and I appreciate your willingness to listen." Karen crossed her arms but relaxed slightly. "I still do not like that your land is so close to our neighborhood. But I see that you have been responsible and respectful. I suppose we can agree to coexist peacefully." Liam smiled gently. "That is all I ask. I am here to live quietly and take care of my land. I have no intention of disturbing your community." Karen hesitated for a moment, then nodded. "Very well. I will try to be more understanding. I hope that we can avoid any future conflicts." With that, Karen turned and walked back to her house. Liam felt a wave of relief. The confrontation that had been ongoing for days was finally resolving. He returned to his cabin foundation with renewed energy, determined to continue building his dream home. Later that morning, Maya arrived to check on Liam. She carried a small toolbox and a lunch basket, ready to help. "How are things?" she asked with a warm smile. "They are improving," Liam replied. "Karen has finally acknowledged that my land is mine. She is calmer now, and some neighbors seem to understand that I am not causing trouble. I feel hopeful that things are moving in the right direction." Maya nodded approvingly. "Good. You handled everything with patience and respect. That made all the difference. People respond well to calm behavior and proof. They can see that you are responsible and trustworthy." Liam smiled. "Thank you for your support. It was very helpful to have someone remind me to stay calm. Today, I want to focus on finishing the cabin foundation and planting more vegetables in the garden." They worked together throughout the morning, leveling the ground and laying out wooden beams for the foundation. Liam felt a deep sense of satisfaction as the structure began to take shape. Every task completed was a step closer to building the home he had dreamed of for so long. By afternoon, several neighbors came by to observe. This time, their expressions were neutral or even friendly. Some nodded in approval at the garden and the neat foundation layout. Liam greeted them politely, explaining his plans and showing that he had no intention of disturbing anyone. One neighbor, Mr. Benson, spoke up. "Liam, it looks like you are really committed to this land. I can see that you are responsible and careful. I think we can all respect your efforts and let you continue." Liam nodded gratefully. "Thank you, Mr. Benson. That means a lot. I want to maintain good relationships with everyone around and be a responsible neighbor." As the afternoon sun began to lower, Liam and Maya finished preparing a small section of the garden for planting additional vegetables. Carrots, lettuce, and radishes were arranged neatly in rows. Liam felt proud of how productive the day had been and how the situation with Karen and the neighbors had started to improve. That evening, Liam prepared a simple dinner over his small camping stove. The peaceful sound of the creek and the warm glow of the sunset made him feel content. Maya sat nearby, sipping lemonade, and the two of them talked about plans for the cabin and garden. "I am glad things are finally settling down," Maya said. "It could have been much more stressful, but you stayed calm and respectful. That made all the difference." Liam nodded. "Yes, I realized that patience and politeness are more powerful than anger or confrontation. Even Karen, despite her persistence, eventually understood the truth when I remained calm and presented facts." As night fell, Liam looked around his land, feeling a sense of ownership and peace. The creek sparkled under the moonlight, and the garden rows reflected his careful planning. The cabin foundation stood firm, a symbol of his determination and hard work. The following days were quiet and productive. Liam continued to build the cabin foundation, plant more vegetables, and maintain the land responsibly. Karen's confrontations became less frequent, and when they did occur, she approached with a calmer demeanor, often nodding politely or simply observing without speaking. Neighbors began to respect Liam's presence. Some even offered help or advice about gardening and construction. Liam welcomed their support, appreciating the sense of community that was gradually developing around him. One afternoon, Karen approached Liam again. This time her tone was neutral. "Liam, I just wanted to say that I see you are being responsible and respectful. I apologize for the trouble earlier. I hope we can coexist peacefully." Liam smiled politely. "Thank you, Karen. I appreciate that. I also hope we can continue as neighbors with mutual respect." Karen nodded and walked away. Liam felt a sense of closure. The conflict that had dominated the first days on his land was finally resolving, and he could focus on his life and his dream home without constant worry. Weeks passed and the cabin foundation was completed. Liam planted more vegetables in the garden, and small flowers lined the edges of his property. He had created a peaceful and productive environment, one that reflected his dedication and hard work. By the end of the month, Liam sat on a small bench near the creek, looking at the land he had nurtured and shaped. The sun was setting, casting a golden glow over the fields. Karen waved from her porch across the street, a gesture of acknowledgement and peace. Liam waved back, feeling content and proud. He realized that standing firm, remaining calm, and showing respect had been the key to resolving the conflict. Karen's persistence could have been intimidating, but facts, patience, and polite behavior had won the day. His land was secure, and the community had begun to accept him. Liam knew that life on his property would continue to have challenges, as all endeavors do, but he felt confident that he could handle them with patience and calmness. He had achieved his goal of creating a home on his land and proving that truth and respect could overcome conflict. That night, Liam went to sleep with a sense of peace and accomplishment. The creek murmured softly, the stars shone brightly, and the land that he had dreamed of for years was finally his. He had faced confrontation, handled threats calmly, and built a foundation not just for a cabin, but for a life of independence, responsibility, and respect. Liam smiled in the dark, knowing that he had overcome the challenges with courage and patience. His dream had become reality, and he could finally enjoy the freedom and peace that he had worked so hard to achieve.